And good evening, guys and gals. Welcome to episode 3. Welcome to the channel. Still haven't named this channel yet. Just making episodes right now, so it may be a little bit. Don't know what's going to go on here. Was thinking about doing this on Instagram. I don't know. Look like it might be a YouTube thing. So wherever you find me, you find me. I'll link to that regardless. Today is a beer. Today we're going to talk about, I think I said top 5 brewery in my second episode, but I think literally they're like top 2, top 3. We've got some really good breweries in the area, in the Houston area. I'm talking about Saloon Door. I'm going to try to focus solely on Saloon Door and stories about Saloon Door. At one time, I did a foray into food and beverage management for a country club. And their beer selections were Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite, Budweiser, something else. Nothing against people that drink those beers, because I drink a couple of those. But in a country club, I really felt like the options should be a little more complex. So anyway, long story short, started looking around in the area. I kind of knew about Saloon Door because they were just now coming up. Went over there, introduced myself, just said, look, I'm looking to get some local brews. So I spoke to Saloon Door, I spoke to Galveston Bay, I spoke to Texas Beer Refinery. Those are the 3 I spoke to. Actually, let me back up. Galveston Bay actually came to me. Judge came into the country club and talked to me. So anyway, I went to Saloon Door very soon after to see what they were about. They literally sat me down for probably 2 hours and did a tasting, and everything was on the house. And sorry about that. Lost the battery. So anyway, the Saloon Door concept is and was different to me. They made some great beers that stood alone, but they also had kind of like a mixing menu where they'd take a third of this beer and a third of this beer and, or whatever and they would make different drinks, different beers. It's almost like a cocktail. And we've all seen the different beer cocktails with beer and, whatever. And that's cool and everything. But what intrigued me was when I go to at one point, 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing a lot of brewery tours. Not necessarily taking like a behind the scenes or anything like that, because they're all basically the same. But really looking at what that brewery was about. And so I had been to every brewery within the greater Houston city limits and beyond. And really enjoy that aspect to see what their menu is, because we as consumers don't get to see everything they have to offer out in the marketplace, because micros don't have the money to distribute, self-distribute, or get with a local distributor to get everything out there. They have to focus on a couple of beers, 4 or 5 beers, whatever the case may be, 1 beer, no beers, depending on how popular they are, or whatever their budget is, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, Saloon Door was unique in that their beers they had a lot of stouts, and I didn't see that a lot going into other breweries around town unless it was in the winter. I drink stouts year round. Got something in my eye. And so, you know, there was a time when stouts were being overdone. I think the best example, and it's not a bash on them, but we all loved it. Oscar Blues had a beer called 1050. It was 10.5% alcohol, and it was rough. When I was drinking stouts a lot, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I really did. When you go back and look at it, it was a tough beer. Then they came out with, I believe it was Black Crack, which was 1050. I think it was. I may be confused. In bourbon barrels, but anyway, doesn't matter. So what I'm getting at is the stouts kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and it was just kind of like the IPA scene. The more hops we can get, and more IBUs we can get in, the better off we are. And it's just not true. It's sometimes less is more, and we all know that, or should. So anyway, say that to say this. I get over to Saloon Door, and I'm looking at their stout menu, and they've got a beer. This was 16, or was it 17? I think it was 16. And they had a beer called Tasty AF, and it was a milk stout, which I was introduced to milk stouts back in, I guess it had to have been Left Hands before they came out with their Nitro. Left Hand milk stouts, or the Left Hand milk stout beer, and that was at Taps in Houston, if I remember correctly, and it had to have been around 2010. And I never had a milk stout, but I got the concept of brewing with lactose as secondary fermentation to kind of smooth over some of the IBUs that are inherent or traditional in a stout. Lactose being the milk sugar from milk. Or, did I say that right? You get it. And I remember the first time I had it, and I was like, this is like drinking chocolate milk. And I was with somebody who didn't speak beer like I spoke beer, or like some of the people that I hang around speak beer. So when I say it tastes like chocolate milk, I don't mean it tastes like Hershey syrup and whole milk. It just had this essence of chocolate milk to me. It was a stout, which due to the roasting has a chocolatey nature to it, even though it doesn't have any chocolate in it per se. But then the lactose secondary fermentation smoothed it over, and it gave it this milky feel in the mouth. And it just blew me away. And I remember drinking a whole pint like it was a glass of chocolate milk. And then ordering another one and realizing that first one was a mistake. It's a heavy alcohol. I mean, this one is 6, so it's heavier. I think Left Hand's a little heavier than that. But anyway, so this Tasty AF is a milk stout, but it's brewed with peanut butter and chocolate, which I love. Reese's peanut butter cups, and I eat them, and I drink milk with them. So I was like, that's novel. But they also had a peanut butter, or a strawberry version, which was pretty good. Long story longer, they won, I believe it was 2017 Beer of the Year. And so I've always liked their Tasty AF. They have a ridiculous AF right now, which is a Russian Imperial Stout. So it's a Riz. This is just a regular milk. This is just a regular stout. This is, as far as I'm concerned, their best beer. They've got some other. They've got a beer. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's brewed with clementines, and it's very white ale, but super, super orangey. Clementines are just such a good beer. But anyway, I suggest you check out Saloon Door. I don't know what their proper is, but I'm thinking it's Webster. This is their Tasty AF. This is their Nitro. I haven't actually had it in Nitro. So I choose what I thought was going to be my favorite glass. I got it, favorite pint. I got it this summer on a road trip when me and Jana went up to stay in Austin at Tree Houses. We stayed at, is it Yoki House? Anyway, so I bought this at the, oh gosh, Jana will have to remind me. But I washed it once and this is what happened. One of the places where you got pecans or something. It's supposed to say drink local. So anyway, so this is a dark beer. You'll notice by the head, it's as you can see, it's like coffee. Little to no head, it'll build. Smells like a coffee Reese's cup to me. Has almost a Hershey's overtone. It's great. You can smell the peanut butter. This is the first one I ever had. This is the first one I've ever seen, and I've seen about 20 cents. And very few of them get it this close, if any. I think Belching Beaver has one that's pretty good, but none of them have this. This looks to a lot of people. I mean, from what I've been told, it looks, I don't know if it's offensive or just harsh or it's going to taste bitter. It's really not. It's sweet. And it's not sugary sweet like a lot of people think, but there is a very, very sweet element to it. Very drinkable. I'm sure the IBUs on this are fairly high. I don't actually know what they are. I would guess they're over 60. But with the lactose used in the secondary fermentation, it just doesn't come across that way. 6% alcohol. And the cool thing about Saloon Door is it's a big place. They've got games. It's kid friendly. They always have a food truck. They have a food truck there a lot. Their mix menu where you can say, I think so. They have a cream ale that they mix with persnickety wheat. So it was a wheat ale. I remember now. Brewed with persimmons, and great beer. And they do it with they mix it. They don't do anything. They mix it with their Caddy Corner cream ale, and it makes it was like a dreamsicle or something along those lines. But they have a lot of stuff like that, and so I suggest checking them out. I understand stouts aren't for everybody, but I think if you really want to try something different, and you think stouts are, I think the quintessential stout is what everybody thinks is Guinness. To me, and I'll drink Guinness, but it comes off as watery and bitter to me, whereas this is full-bodied. There's no watery aspect to it. If you like peanut butter, I think you'll like this. I say that. I think it's just, it's one of those beers that I'm in love with, and I'll never stop drinking. I don't drink it a lot, because if I'm working on the truck or working on the Cadillac or working on the LeSabre or working on whatever outside, I don't drink a lot of heavy beers. I'm going to drink a Bock or a Winter Ale or something along those lines that's a lot lighter in alcohol. And this isn't bad. What did I say? It was 6%? It drinks a lot heavier. And at my age, not that I'm old or anything, but, you know, still trying to keep the weight off. I just think it's a good beer. I think you should try it. Tell you what, I'm going to end with this. If you've got a beer you want me to try, send me a beer. Don't send me a 6-pack. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't have that much room in my refrigerator just yet. This is episode 3. Maybe I'll get a refrigerator one day when I'm a internet superstar. But send me a beer. You're up in Washington State, Massachusetts, Saskatoon, Sacagawea, any of those places. Tucumcari, White Elks Lodge, West Virginia. Send me one of your beers. I'll try it. I'll put it on the channel. I'll tell you what I think. Don't be mad. Don't be too happy either. I'm nobody. I just like beer. Send me an IPA. All you damn hipsters out there, send me one of your IPAs. The best IPA you got. I'll try it. I'll tell you what I think about it. Change my mind. I'm looking to open my horizons. Cheers.